Welcome, everybody. Council meeting, the end of March. And March is almost over, and there's no more snow for the month of March. Get ready for the month of April. Now, great crowd here. Good to see everybody. Epilepsy's being represented here today. Men's Rec Hockey, the Royal Canadian Legion, and they're out in full force. Council, you see before you the agenda for tonight's meeting, and I don't think there's anything outside of the kit. And I'd like to get a motion, please, to adopt that agenda. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Fry, seconded by Councillor Lane. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. In recognition of the City of Mount Pearl's commitment to foster respectful and collaborative relationships with Indigenous peoples in the City of Mount Pearl and beyond, we hereby acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq. Mount Pearl and the broader metro region continue to be home to diverse Indigenous peoples, including First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. Council, here's the minutes from the previous meeting held on March 10th. Of course, this meeting was supposed to take place last Tuesday, and that snow I talked about interrupted, but we are here where we are. And good job on the minutes, but please, before we proceed, is there any errors or omissions, Council? Hearing none, I'm going to call for a motion, please, to accept the minutes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Kiley and seconded by Councillor Rice. All in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Business arising, Council, please. Quote the item number. Don't see any hands up. Don't see anybody looking for anything. Just checking with you, Deputy Mayor. We're going to move on, folks, if that's pleasing to everybody. We have a proclamation, and I'm going to invite Eamon Fogwell, former Youth of the Year here in the City of Mount Pearl, Spider-Man extraordinaire, who's going to come up as we proclaim. This would have been done last Tuesday, but March 26th would have been Purple Day for Epilepsy. Good to see you, and I know others, but including Councillor Antle, that this proclamation goes to the heart and means something from a family perspective, right? Come on over, bud. So whereas Purple Day is a global effort to promote epilepsy awareness in countries around the world, and Purple Day was founded by 9-year-old Cassidy Megan of Nova Scotia, who wanted to let people know that if you have epilepsy, you're not alone. And whereas epilepsy is a chronic neurological disorder which affects each person differently, estimated to affect more than 10,000 people here in Newfoundland and Labrador, and over 300,000 Canada-wide, and 50 million people worldwide. So whereas 1 in 10 people will have at least one seizure during their lifetime, and whereas the public is often unable to recognize common seizure types and unable to respond with appropriate first aid, and whereas Purple Day will be celebrated and was celebrated on March the 26th every year to increase understanding, reduce stigma, and improve the quality of life for people living with epilepsy throughout our country. Hopefully I have a pen, and I'm going to fix my signature to that on behalf of council, and we declare retroactively Purple Day to be March 26th of the 26th, so that is 032626, as Purple Day for Epilepsy here in the City of Mount Pearl. And I'm happy to be joined by Eamon. And Eamon, what's your personal experience with epilepsy?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was 12 years old. And it was a very difficult time for me. As a young kid with epilepsy, you feel very different compared to your peers. Fortunately, I had a very great support system of family and friends who helped me through it. But a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people kind of have to go through it alone. And epilepsy is a very, very common condition. So the best way for us to make sure people don't have to go through it alone is to spread awareness. Epilepsy doesn't really have the same sort of recognition and advocacy as a lot of other conditions do. And because of this, a lot of people who have epilepsy can't really get the proper accommodations that they need and deserve. And it all comes down to a misunderstanding. You know, the general public really doesn't understand epilepsy. If you were to ask the average person what a seizure looks like, they would probably just say convulsions, foaming at the mouth, all those sorts of things. But in reality, there are dozens of different types of seizures. Seizures can present as staring blankly or a loss of awareness, but the average person just can't identify that. The only way we're ever going to change it is by having the uncomfortable conversations, the conversations that a lot of people don't want to have because they might be embarrassed or they might not feel comfortable talking about it. But we need to be the ones to step up. We need to be the ones to spread the word, to normalize it so nobody feels alone.
Thank you very much, Eamon, and well said. Dale Carnegie once said you should never speak except for stuff that you already know, and you spoke really well, and it's based on your life experience. So thank you for sharing that. Councillor Antle.
Thank you very much, Eamon. You certainly are a wealth of information. Since you were the Youth of the Year, Eamon and I talk a lot. My grandson has epilepsy. And thanks to Eamon, lots of questions we have as a family are run by Eamon, and he helps me out a lot. And you know, the key is awareness. The biggest thing is awareness. Don't be afraid. If someone has a seizure, you know exactly what to do. Stay calm. And that's what we do. As a family, it's really great. And Councillor Lane understands this too. We all talk about it now. It's just a normal conversation in the house that, you know, Lincoln might have a seizure. And now, thank God, knock on wood, Lincoln hasn't had an issue in about a year and a half. He's off his meds. He has another year to go till he has till he's clean, and then after that, he hopefully will be after outgrowing this. I didn't know you could do that. But you know, as Eamon said, you know, awareness is key. Don't be afraid to talk about it. And you know, anybody has an issue, like I think I'd be good at it. Now, I'd understand it now, and that's a good thing to do. And Eamon, you're a wealth of knowledge. I mean, it's so good to have you around. Well done. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. And Councillor Lane, I know this is very dear to your heart too, from family perspective.
First of all, thank you, Eamon. You're so well spoken. Eamon, I believe, also won the Lions Club Speak Up when he was in high school. Is that true, Eamon? Yeah. So it's no surprise that you're so well spoken. It's amazing. Yes, my sister also, she had childhood epilepsy. And it was very scary for my parents at the time. I'm 2 years younger than her, so I don't have a lot of memories of that time. But I know that it was a huge process. And back when she was diagnosed, there was even less knowledge on epilepsy. So it was more difficult trying to figure out the right medications. And she spent a lot of time in and out of hospital because of her seizures. Luckily now she's 32 years old and she's thriving. She hasn't had a seizure since I think she was 7 or 8. So it's been a really long time and she's doing wonderful. But you're absolutely right that we need to do all that we can to bring awareness because there's still very many people who are living with epilepsy. And it's definitely not something that anyone should feel embarrassed about. But when you're a child, just anything that makes you stand out or feel different is enough to kind of play on your self-confidence and stuff like that. So thank you very much, Eamon.
No, thank you, Councillor. Over to you, Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Eamon, I'm so happy to see you here. Thank you for coming. And when Eamon was the Youth of the Year, he educated me on epilepsy because we meet so many people and it's always good to know what to do if somebody has a seizure. But one of the things that stood out to me about you is your passion and your drive to just educate people and to talk about it and bring awareness to it. I mean, it was because of you that we lit City Hall purple. And it was because of you that we had our proclamation last year, and now we have it here again this year. And what you're doing is so important, and I'm so proud of you. But I just want to let everyone know, Eamon also was a recipient of the 2024 Zach Rowe Memorial Scholarship. That was from epilepsy. And also, this year, he's being recognized with the 2026 Purple Star Award. So he's not just talking the talk. He's walking the walk. And we're so proud of you and we're so happy to see you here again tonight. Thank you for coming.
All right, I think that's going to be a wrap. Thank you all for your contribution, and I'm going to invite Eamon and Council to come up for a picture, please. We have some amazing groups here in the city of Mount Pearl. But one of the longstanding groups have stood by our culture and our history, made quite the difference in the birth of our city, and continue to this day. We only see them sometimes on July 1st, Memorial Day, or November 11th, Armistice Day, but they are very active throughout the year. And that's the members of the Royal Canadian Legion here in Mount Pearl. And it's my pleasure to welcome Calvin Smith. Guys, what we'll do, I know you have a presentation, I think, to make to us. So I'm going to invite Calvin to come up on behalf of the Legion, and then we'll invite everybody else to come up for a picture afterwards. Will that work out okay for you folks? All right. Nobody there from CSIS, right? You can get your picture taken with a bit of luck. So on behalf of council, thank you for being such a strong community-minded organization in our city. And thank you for coming by and wanting to make this presentation to us today. Calvin, I'm going to invite you up. You're the president of the Legion, and this is truly an honor for all of us.
Mayor Dave, on behalf of my members, because I'm president, no one else wanted to speak. I wish somebody'd put away their camera, but that's part of being here. Legion and City of Mount Pearl have a long history together. We were discussing a little while ago, and I said, I can't remember in my term being involved in Legion if we ever did do a certificate of appreciation. Be honest with you, our little branch, without the city's cooperation, we would not survive. We're very thankful for everything that you do and everything that you help us with. So, Mayor Dave, this is the certificate we'll present later. Also, unfortunately, I didn't know there'd be this big of a crowd here. This year is the 100th anniversary of the Royal Canadian Legion. No, Mount Pearl is not here that long. Tried to look up the history, but unfortunately, I didn't realize at the time that Mount Pearl Legion original charter was Mount Pearl Glendale. So when I looked out the information, the only information I could find was Mount Pearl, and it's telling me Mount Pearl Legion was since '94, but I know the Legion's been in Mount Pearl longer than that, so I have to search it out. Also, this year, where it is the 100th anniversary of the Legion, I have some centenary pins to present to members of council. Rest of you crowd, I'm sorry, I'll try to get a few more for you. I didn't realize you were here. The other thing is, in my area, because I've taken on the role as district commander, District 1, we have 3 branches that have more than a 100-year history serving the veterans. Originally, they were called the Great War Veterans Association. When the Royal Canadian Legion formed up in 1926, Newfoundland wasn't part of Canada. So most of these branches joined up in 1950, but they grandfathered them in, so they are 100-year-old branches. One is Bell Island. One is the one, Branch 1 on Black Marsh Road, and the other one is Branch 56 in Pleasantville. There are a couple others that are outside of that area, but that's the area that I deal with. There's one in Portagrave that was also part of it. So, Mayor, if you want to stand up, I'll give you this presentation now.
I would love to stand up, and I'm going to invite my colleagues to come up, and we'll do it all together, and then we'll invite your colleagues to come up, and hopefully the place doesn't tip over.
Thank you, Calvin. Calvin, thank you, everybody.
So we have another presentation, and we'll get down to some of the business of the day. But an organization that's been with the city almost as long as dust itself is the Mount Pearl Men's Recreation Hockey League. And they were founded in 1976 at the old tin can, which had the best ice, Blair Delaney, the best ice this province has ever made. And for the last 50 years, they've been playing hockey, socializing, fundraising, going to Nashville and winning gold medals. And they've been around for a long, long time. And I would say, I'm going to invite Steve McDonald to come up, who's the current president of the league. But Steve, I'd say there's 300 or 400 or 500 people have gone through that league over the years. And I think you had about half of them at the dinner and dance on Saturday night, you know, and it's all about recreation, sportsmanship, and fellowship at the end of the day. I know you folks have done your good work here in the city and the surrounding areas, helping charities and the like. You've had some good times. I can think of some Christmas parties, some year-end parties, and I know you've given great support to our staff at the Glacier, and I know they've returned that to you. So you're one of the most welcome tenants that we have here in the city of Mount Pearl, and we're so glad, as part of our legacy program, to work with you. I know Councillor Rice also, he plays in the league. He's an A player from what you told me, right? You know, yeah, but you
Actually,
know,
the playoffs are tonight. The final games are tonight, and I don't think Mark's playing. Oh, test? Yeah, final games
Steve,
tonight.
go ahead. Tell us what you've done, what you're doing, and why you like being president.
Thanks, Dave and council. So we celebrated 50 years last night, and I don't know if you realize this, but the Blue Jays are not celebrating until next year. They started in 77. So the Mount Pearl, city of Mount Pearl, had community things going on. And the fellow who started it was at our dinner and dance. He flew in from Florida, very successful businessman that started it in 1976. Tom Vardy's his name. And we had a great night last night. Isabel was there. Mark was there. Yeah. Anybody else? Just two of you, wasn't it? Yeah. But it was nice to have you there. And too bad you couldn't make it, Dave. We had a great night and recognized the past and all the successes of the league. And it really is a good community. Like I'm here with the City of Mount Pearl Council and the mayor, and it makes a lot of sense because thank you guys, all of you, for supporting us for the dinner and dance. It cost us $25,000 to run it. Believe it or not, it goes fast, right? And so we really appreciate your support and big time. With you have the procedure where you help significant milestones, and this was definitely one. So thank you very much.
Well, I can tell you, we didn't do it just because you hit a number.
Okay.
We also do it because of the reputation the league has with regards to contribution to the well-being of our community. And there's no doubt that the league has been outstanding and upstanding over the years. It has made a great contribution. But the most important thing I find is that here in Mount Pearl, we like to celebrate the fact that we do things together as a community. And I know other communities have leagues that are very similar. They probably are at different stages of their progression demographically. But I'll tell you, from what I hear talking to people, whether they go to other arenas and whatnot, the Mount Pearl Men's Rec Hockey League is probably the best you can play in the province. So Steve, to you and your executive, to your 50th anniversary committee, a big round of congratulations here from the city of Mount Pearl.
Back at you. Thank you.
Thank you. And what we'd like to do now is what we were going to do
Yeah.
last Tuesday is present some funding. If you don't mind, if you're not too shy like we are, let's get a picture.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dave.
Oh, hang on. Sorry. Yes, please, Councillor Rice.
Oh, I got to
Sorry,
speak. I
guy.
mean, I can't pass this opportunity by. So I just want to say, first of all, thanks, Steve, for coming in. Really appreciate you coming in. I am part of the league now 30 years this year. And, it went by so fast and so quickly. It's just, it's just unreal how good the league is. I just want to add also, the executive, they do a phenomenal job running the league. It's done fair across the board. All the players are all rated. Everybody plays on everybody's different teams every year. There's no teams that, so I could be on Steve's team one year, I could be on Bill's team the next year. So it's all done as even as possible by rating of players. But the big, there's a couple of things mentioned. Myself and Isabel went to the banquet the other night, and two of us actually shared the speaking notes, and I was really proud to do that because, and a couple of people made a comment about it's all ran, like everything is ran by volunteers. Volunteers do such a phenomenal job putting it all together, and we had the past president who started the league, Tom Vardy, and Dave Shepherd. Dave has passed away. His wife's still alive here in Mount Pearl. And also Harold Shepherd spoke. He's in the mid, and Stephen now was president. But the big part I find, and the longer I think you spend in the league, the more time you spend in there, is the mental health part of the getting out for a night, the camaraderie part, the socialization, the chats in the dressing room after, and the talking to everybody and getting to know new people. That's what it's all about. So that's really what it's all about. It's the camaraderie part, and that's so important now in today's society. Today's society is so important because that's really what it all boils down to, because a night out, camaraderie, friendships, and lifelong friendships. I've made in this league in 30 years, I don't have a brother. I have two sisters, but I have brothers now in the league. That's how caring and supportive and everything that the league is and the people that play in that league. So there you go. That's what I want to
Yeah,
say.
well said, Mark. Am I on? Yeah. Well said. And it showed up at the celebration. Like everybody was talking to everybody all around the room, and it was really on the go. And the players in the league, like Mark was talking about skill levels, there's also occupations. It doesn't matter what you do. We have dentists, surgeons, we have it all, like the people from all different walks of life in the community, right? So it's really a great league.
Well, I'll say one thing. It's not just about celebrating the good times. So I've seen the league in action. When Derek James lost a family member, you folks were there to donate the bench in recognition of your colleague and your fellow player, right? So it's about supporting each other, and it's certainly more than just a game of hockey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anybody else? All right, let's do a snap if we could.
Oh my gosh.
Me and Isabel represented the whole. Me and Isabel represented the whole crew, Dave.
Good job, Tony.
Congratulations.
Good job, Tony.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Good luck in the game tonight, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, have fun with the game.
Gentlemen.
Here we go. Corporate Services Committee, lead, Councillor Antle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Have six here. I'll try to be as quick as I possibly can. The first one are invoices for approval for March 24th. You can see them in your kit there, totaling $969,643.80. There's 10 there. One in particular, number 2, is Avalon Coal for our salt that we need for our roads for $547,000. Anyhow, for all these, for 969, 643.80, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Antle, thank you, and seconded by Councillor Locke. Any questions, Council? Councillor Fry, please.
Just out of curiosity, $547,000, how many months does that cover?
What line item is that? CAO write-up, please.
Sorry. I'm having trouble. It kind of depends on the winter. So it could cover, we typically get, well, Corey was on the phone with Avalon Coal Salt last week, trying to figure out how we can stock our salt shed. So it really depends, but we would get, I would say, a few months, like 2 or 3 months maybe out of that value. So that would be, we're full now, but if we have a winter like this winter, we could go through that in 6 or 8 weeks.
Yeah, you always got to be preparing for the next storm, right? Manager Harvey.
Salt shed takes roughly $350,000 worth of salt. Given a storm, if we had 73 centimeters of snow like we did at one storm, we basically went through 3/4 of the shed. Or roughly between half and 3/4 of the shed. So it definitely depends on the winter. It also depends on the weather, like the type of snow we have. There's so much of a wide range of things that weigh in on the salt that is really hard to predict. But I can tell you, it is very expensive. $147 a ton. And right now, Avalon Salt have no more salt left.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions from the invoices for approval? Hearing none. I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. Next one is for your information only. It's a payment register and purchase card report for March 24th, 2026. And you can see in your kit there, and I'm just opening it up here as fast as I can go. For the payment register from March 4th to the 18th is $2,552,386.35. And the purchase card report for January 26, 2026 to February 25th, 2026 for $875,719.30. And this is just for your information only. Any questions? Mr. Rice.
Just for clarification purpose, I guess, on dates and times, there's an invoice there for JMJ Holdings Limited for $493,539.54. So is that a payment? Did we already give them one payment already? Is this the second payment, or is this the first payment for them? And up to what? So I guess I'll ask two questions. Is this the second payment or first payment? And is this payment up to what date? The date now of this council meeting?
I believe it's up to the 50% mark.
50% mark?
I'm being very rough estimate, but Director Batt may
Just
have
for
some
clarification.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've issued multiple payments to JMJ as of now. To the date that's been issued, I'm not entirely sure. I can get back to you on that one. Okay.
Further questions? Back to you, to Councillor Antle.
Thank you. Next one is the request for tax consideration for March 14, 2026, and they're in the kit. And there's 10 there. It's for Skills Canada for $924.35. Parkdale Manor for Parkdale Manor for property taxes for $3,597.13. Vision Employment for business is 100% deductible, $6,932.54. Columbus Center, it's for property for 60% for $5,151.30. Campy Gymnastics, total business for $36,114.93. We certainly support that group. Channel is for a total business for $1,630.99. Masonic Park, there's 3 here from Masonic Park. The property 60% is $88,661.03. For the Masonic Lodge is for property for 60%, which is $12,468.70. And for the Freemason Hall, it's for business for $30,330.79. So we certainly support the Masonic Park. SPCA for total business is 100% for $6,549. Seventh-day Adventist for the business total is 100%, 25,535.48. For the Alzheimer's Society, for a business, 100%, it's 3,957.33. And for Enlow, this is for the total business, 100%, 6,179.28. And the department recommends approval for these, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Antle again, and second by Councillor Locke. Any questions, council? It's pretty routine. I think most of these we've seen before. All right, I'm going to call the question then. All in favor? Contrary-minded? And that is carried.
Now, this is something great to see coming through for our city. It has to do with our Kenmount Hill service levies. We've been working on this as a council for many, many years. And now we're moving forward the levies to pay for it. And it's really interesting how we got this done. Our staff worked very, very hard on this. Council right now this evening is being asked to approve the service levies, deferred service levies, and a local improvement assessment for the Kenmount Hill area. These levies recover a portion of major infrastructure upgrades and directly enable new development on Kenmount Hill and north of Topsail Road. Anybody who's listening, this is the area right behind Avalon Ford and West Hills, that area. The city has invested approximately $37 million in water, sewer, storm, water, or pump house, lift station, and capacity building projects in this area. Only the growth-related share, about $17.4 million, is being recouped through these levies. Existing residents are not being asked to pay for development capacity. Growth pays for growth. Engineering reviewed each project to determine what portion supports new development versus regular asset renewal, and levies are applied to only parcels that benefit from each project. The recommended levies outlined in the resolutions before council, they align with the city's municipal plan, direction for mixed use, commercial quarter, and high-density residential development on Kenmount Hill. These levies ensure the city recovers development-related costs, protecting our existing tax base, enable future housing and commercial growth, and comply with the City of Mount Pearl Act. Staff recommended these three resolutions, and I'll read these. I won't go through the whole things in your kit, and you can read it at any time. It's in the report. There's three resolutions there, and I'll just go down to them. First one is the committee recommends approving the following service levies, deferred service levies, and local improvement assessments as outlined in the following three resolutions. The first one, resolved that pursuant to Section 173 of the City of Mount Pearl Act, Council employs the following service levies. I so move.
The three are in the report, and you've moved them, Councillor Antle, and seconded by Councillor Locke. We're voting on all three. Is that the direction you want us to
Yep.
go in?
Vote for all three. They're all in your kit.
Council,
You
any
can-
questions? All right, this is making sure development costs for new development don't end up in our tax base. That's really what this is all about. So I commend you, staff, for a long piece of work, a very long piece of work. And I'm getting the fingers of 4 from our city clerk. Is there 3 or 4? What? They're in the report, and the report is being adopted.
I'm going to read out three motions separately. So I've been told. All right. The first one, resolve that pursuant to Section 173 of the City of Mount Pearl Act, Council impose the following service levies. And the first one, what was it? First one, resolve that pursuant to Section 173 of the City of Mount Pearl Act, Council employs deferred service levies. That's the first one, and I so move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. Resolve that pursuant to Section 167 of the City of Mount Pearl Act, Council employs the following local improvement assessments, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Carried.
And I think I missed the first one, didn't I? Yeah, I hear that. Did I get the three of them there? Okay. Yeah. Perfect. All done.
So again, everybody voted in favor of the levies, and they're now in place. Thank you.
And these levies are great. I mean, this pays for the service as we talked about it. You know, this new development in the city. Existing residents don't pay for it. This is new growth, so it's really great to see. We're going to spend lots of money. Let's get some back. The next one is virtual infrastructure replacement. The committee recommends awarding the contract to Open Storage Solutions in the amount of $158,833.93, and this includes licensing for the next 3 years. And before I move this, I so move.
Question, council? Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
It's easy to spend money. And this one here is the there's a recommendation for digitization of permitting and applications. This is a great idea. I mean, it's really worked well. Our staff have worked on this for a long, long time. We've been working on digitizing our permitting. And we're already halfway through this right now. We started some last year, and that cost us $37.5. We already have this money has been budgeted, right? Then we're using revised hours, and the budget it'll cost us an extra $45,000. And the committee recommends giving this to Catalyst, and I so move.
This is an expansion of work as it relates to the business side of our website, as we're moving that into the modern frontier, so to speak, and this will make it complete. As moved by Councillor Andal, second by Councillor Locke. Any questions? Councillor Rice.
Mark is good. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. No, I certainly support this one, and you know, the way of the future, digitalization and moving. So you know, contractors and anybody that's looking for permitting system, moving it online is the way to go. I guess it requires less movement for people coming in and out of our buildings, doing stuff from their office or home and stuff, and with staff, you know, they can get it under computer quicker instead of doing the paper copy and stuff like that. So I certainly support what's happening, and great work, city. Great work to staff in the city. Thanks.
Yes, very well said. Anybody else? Hearing none, I'm going to call the question then. All in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. Carried.
And we paid our bills, and I'll pass it on now. Hold on. Thank you very much.
Councillor Fry for Public Works, please.
So our report this evening is short and sweet. Just to give you an update for information purposes, for our roads division, our winter shifts are still ongoing, at least for another few weeks. Snow clearing, snow removal, and ice control as required. Our parks division, trail maintenance and grooming as conditions allow. And of course, our fleet division have ongoing service and maintenance. With regards to our UTM division, we have our general calls, we have water and sewer repairs, leak detection, lift station inspections and maintenance. And as you can see in your kit, the water levels at Babel's Big Pond as of March 17th are healthy, and they're on the way up. You know, Public Works has such a varied service that they do. But I must say, like when I saw in the kit, it was $500,000 for salt. You don't realize how much we spend on having the quality of snow clearing we have, but it's definitely worth it. Anyway, our crews are doing a great job as always, and that's it for our report. Thank you.
Excuse me, thank you. It's all about keeping our community safe at the end of it all, and sometimes it takes different resources, but this year's been cold, long. It's not over yet, so stay tuned. All right, we're going to move on in the to the recreation piece, and I'm going to call upon our deputy mayor, who's the lead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Apologies, I had to take myself off mute there. And that takes us to, just one moment while I move to eScribe. And my report's also going to be short and sweet this evening. Just wanted to give some updates and some information regarding some work at the summit, and specifically information for the attention consideration of the public of some upcoming recreation program highlights. First of all, we want to start with a great congratulations to the Summit Artistic Swimming on a successful hosting of the provincial competition held here between March 27th and March 29th at the Summit Pool. And the event brought together teams from all across the metro region for an impressive weekend of artistic swimming, performances, and spirited competition. And thank you to the athletes, the coaches, officials, volunteers, spectators, everyone who contributed to such a memorable and well-run, fun event. Thank you, everybody involved. And also regarding registration. So today I actually opened the Mount Pearl Seniors Independence Group Fitness Programs. So online registration will be available now in the city for city residents at 1 p.m. today, with open registration scheduled to take place online Thursday, April 2nd. And what we mean by open registration, that's for anyone. And not just a Mount Pearl senior resident. So the seniors group fitness programs will run actually between April 13th right up until June 12th. The city also wants to look at some general fitness program registration highlights today. So between today, Tuesday, March 31st at 5 p.m., we're going to also have some registration available for Mount Pearl residents. And then again, general registration will be opening up Thursday, April 2nd from 5 p.m. online. And that will be for general fitness programs running between the 12th and June 20th. Additional program details, including class descriptions and fees, will be available on our website and throughout the throughout our recreation department. And the final one, but not certainly the least, the city is going to be hosting our Easter egg hunt at Powers Pond. And this is going to be an ongoing celebration and an event during the week of April 5th to the 11th, 2026. And get ready, everyone, to explore the Powers Pond Trail. See how many Easter eggs you can spot hidden along the trail on trees, structures, and other spots. These colorful eggs are waiting to be found, and with a fun twist. You won't be collecting them, you'll be guessing how many there are. So, if anyone hasn't had an opportunity to try this in recent years, it is a great opportunity to get fun, get active, and it's just great for the entire family. So those with the closest guesses actually will have a chance to win one of the 3 top prizes. General guidelines for anyone interested. All eggs are visible and fully or partially from Powers Pond Trail. To enter, please simply guess the total number of eggs that are hidden along the trail. The 3 closest guesses will win the prizes. In the event of a tie, winners will be chosen by random draw. 1 entry per person. So entries must include a name, an email address, a phone number. And the contest will run between April 5th, 9 a.m. to April 11th, 11:59 p.m. sharp. So winners will be announced Friday, April 17th. And if there are correct guesses, those entries will be entered into a random draw to determine the winner. So that just sounds like a whole lot of fun for everybody. And what better time to get us ready for the spring. And that is all the highlights I'm happy to share with everyone today and the public, your worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I think Councillor Antle has a comment. And Councillor Antle, will those eggs be all buried in the snow tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, we're going to be looking for, myself and Councillor Rice are going to be up and looking for them eggs. We'll get those eggs. I just want to comment on our registration for our Mount Pearl Seniors Independence. My wife was active in the fitness program. And it ran off the day like clockwork. Like 1 o'clock, it opened up the day. And my wife and all her friends are into this fitness program. But at 1 o'clock, she registered, and they all were talking to each other. I think by 1:30, 60 ladies were registered. And there was a great group. Kudos to our team that put this off so well. And our staff go out of their way because some of the ladies went up and lined up and registered. And they all went through without a hitch. And, for 60 days to get through that and that quick, the job well done. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. Happy spouse is a happy. I'm going to move over now to number 9, Councillor Lane, Community Safety, please.
Thank you very much. There's just one item for my report this evening. and it is the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan National Community Safety Pilot Project. And this is for information only. The City of Mount Pearl is pleased to share that it's been selected to participate in a national pilot project through a partnership with Project Upstream and the Canadian Centre for Safe Communities. Mount Pearl is one of several municipalities across Canada selected to take part in this 2-year pilot initiative, which focuses on strengthening community resilience and advancing prevention through collaboration across sectors. Earlier this year, the city completed the readiness assessment, which examined Mount Pearl's capacity for multi-sector collaboration. This assessment was informed by data collected through the Community Resilience and Early Warning Signals Report and conducted by Mufflin. The city is currently awaiting the final assessment report, which will provide detailed insights into community strengths, protective factors, and emerging issues. Mount Pearl is now in the final year of the 2-year pilot project. At the end of March, the city will be paired with partner organizations based on the readiness assessment results. This second year of the project will focus on working closely with these partners to build the city's capacity to increase multi-sector collaboration and to co-develop community initiatives aimed at strengthening protective factors and addressing emerging issues. In support of this work, the city has been notified that it will receive $10,000 in funding from Public Safety Canada, awarded through Project Upstream, to assist with implementing the initiatives co-developed through this partnership. The City of Mount Pearl is proud to be a part of this initiative and looks forward to working with partners to continue building a resilient, connected, and safe community. So this is very exciting news for our community.
Thank you very much. I'm glad we're sticking with it. It's a long-term cultural change, and it's not going to happen overnight, but progress is being made. Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. And you're right, it is, so it's a long play here for sure. It will be a cultural change, but, speaking with some folks in the community and they're asking like, where are we on our plan? And I guess they're looking for more tangibles at this point in time because, Councillor Fry and I, sit on the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan Committee. And there's been so much work done. It will bear fruit eventually. But I just had a question for, Councillor Lane here. Like, in the final year of this 2-year project, as Councillor Lane mentioned, they're hoping to co-develop community initiatives aimed at strengthening protective factors. And I'm just wondering if, she can give some examples of, just for the benefit of our, of our residents. Like, what could we expect at the end? What do we mean by protective factors? These are the types of questions that I'm getting. So I'm just wondering if Councillor Lane could offer some insight to that, Mayor. Thank you.
So I can certainly discuss one that we've actually already implemented, which was we had the violent threat assessment training, which was offered here in the city, and I was also able to attend that. And the training helps identify factors that can lead to escalation, which then could become violent threat and crimes. So that training was provided to several different groups in our community, not just our staff, but our municipal enforcement staff were there as well, as along with some of our city staff. And so that training really helped give suggestions and ideas on how can you tell if a threat is going to come from an individual in the community and what steps then you can take once a threat is identified. So I think that was just kind of a great start to what we're doing here, is because a lot of it work when it comes to safety and threats is knowledge. Because if you're not able to identify the factors that are leading to these events, and then the resources to connect with once you feel that something is happening that's unsafe, I think that that information is a big piece of gaining knowledge of the city and building on our inventory on what can we do if something unsafe were to happen in our city again. And Blair, I don't know if you have anything that you'd like to add as well.
Thank you. Yes, so this report that we're waiting for, and we should get it real soon because it was due to be presented to us the end of this month, will actually take our strengths and our weaknesses and show us what these initiatives need to be. And that $10,000 then will be directed into those initiatives depending on what this report tells us we should be focusing on.
I got the deputy mayor and then the CAO.
Thank your worship, and thanks everybody for speaking to what sometimes is it's hard to really put into a context of, well, it's not a program, it's not specifically a tangible like what we see, like a garbage collection or a tree. Sometimes it's education, sometimes it's just looking at the bigger view when it comes to violence prevention. And to Councillor Lane's point around education, that's going to be key because we only have so much resources as a municipality, as a province, and as a country that we can put towards ending let alone preventing violence. So knowing where exactly is going to be our best bet, whether it is understanding what type of education, what type of work we can do to not address it in the moment, but to prevent this. And all of this, if you look at any sort of work, research, and initiatives that seem to be the most progressive and most successful, it's those that really understand that this is about prevention, putting just an ounce of our budget into prevention around these things. So whether it's understanding and education and changing our minds and attitudes when it comes to violence, changing our minds and attitudes when it comes to tolerance and inclusion, are going to mean so much when it comes to addressing these cultural and social issues. So while it's going to take a longer time to do that, this is our compass we're developing here. This is our North Star. And so it's these type of initiatives that we are now applying for and have the ability to is going to allow us to have a compass as to where we're going to direct our best efforts. And I applaud the committee and I applaud the staff and everyone who's been involved with looking at these types of larger collaborative initiatives because this is really going to help us steer us in the right direction for the next years to come. Thank you, Your Worship.
No, thank you. And I'm going to go over to the CAOs now.
Thank you. Just Councillor Locke, I can appreciate that because this is such a effort by all the stakeholders in our community, yourselves included, who participated in the steering committee and who are now shifting into implementation. And I just don't want to let this moment pass without reminding our residents about all of the programs that actually are tangible in the RISE portfolio that we've launched since the beginning of this year. So on our website at mountpearl.ca/rise, individuals and residents can see the access that they now have to different programming. So for example, throughout the entire month of April, there are wellness walks, there's a queer social, there's a community drop-in. These are all related to safe spaces, which is all about, in my opinion, community level protective factors. So inclusive community programming and groups, access to recreation and cultural activities, reliable public services. These are all things that, while the plan is certainly important and we're waiting for those budgetary tactical implementation recommendations, these are things that our residents have access to right now. So in particular, there is one on April 27th, which kind of in line with the violence prevention that we're talking about at Park Place from 6:30 to 8:30, there's a women's self-defense class. So that's even just one opportunity of a tangible component. So one of the things I've asked marketing and recreation to do together is work on better promotion of these tangible activities that our community can participate in. So I hope that helps answer your question.
Yep, thank you. Back to you, Councillor Locke.
Thank you, CEO. And you're right, but it's going to be important that when we communicate this with our residents, that they see that this is a part of our community safety well-being plan, because we know all the things that are ongoing, but the average resident is not going to see how this is all a part of the initiative that we've undertaken. Again, because it's nebulous for many of the residents when they're saying, so, what exactly have you been doing since our public meeting that December, 2 years ago? And they just want, so when I give these examples, it brings clarity. So in our communications online or however we do it, we need to keep that in mind, that always remind people this is a part of the work that we're doing. So thank you for that. And thank you, Councillor Lane.
Councillor Fry.
I just wanted to further to that because we had our committee meeting this past week, and just some examples, like this is so varied what this committee is doing, and they're doing so much. Like the RISE programs, as our CAO talked about. Do you know there was one called Know Your Rights? It was legal rights for new Canadians. They had 2,900 people register. I mean, if you talk about success and a need, right? This is one initiative that came out of that. Elevate Her partnering with us to do a casino night at Park Place for the queer community, which is a great opportunity for that community to socialize and get to know each other. And there are a number of RISE programs. I'm not going to reiterate those, but also like our community, the Crime Prevention Committee initiatives. Like they're looking at doing some good behavior coupons program and a trading cards program and police week cards program. I mean, these are all initiatives that are coming forward. And I'm only using this as an example of the amount of work that's going into this. Mental health supports, partnering with, working with Thrive to try and have resources come to Mount Pearl and to reach out to the harm reduction services offered by the Newfoundland and Labrador Health, the mobile unit and that type of thing. With regards to upstream, they had recently had the violence threat assessment training, which had 43 participants from multiple multiple partners in the community. And as Councillor Lane says, it's the education part and being able to see it coming and prevention, that goes a long way. So there are a number of things there. There was a cruise report that did a deep dive into statistics within Mount Pearl. And now the committee is evaluating that and seeing where that is. I can give you an example, which surprised me. They said that one of the things that's becoming more prevalent in schools now is with young men entitlement, influencing, perpetuating gender superiority, which is not something, that surprised me, but, this is the kind of statistics that are coming out of this. And what it means, that's all part of the committee to evaluate and to figure out. They're also looking for spaces for teenagers, youth at risk and youth programs. There's a female automotive program that they're working on to get young people involved in different skills and skill levels. So, and trail art, getting our youth involved in trail. I could go on, but this is the thing, like this committee is so active and so important and so valuable. And the work that they're doing, it would just, it's what we're getting out of this. It's not just one aspect of crime. It's the whole multifaceted look at it. And I'm so excited about this committee. Like the work they're doing is extraordinary. And we're so, so lucky to have this group. Anyway, I just wanted to add a bit to further to your point, Councillor Locke, as to the kind of things that this committee is doing. There's an awful lot of work happening. Thank you.
Yeah, and whether we're talking protection initiatives, whether they're tangible or intangible, some of them, as the CIO explained, are currently being offered under the City of Mount Pearl, but others are going to be in partnership with other levels of government or through groups like Thrive. Others, we won't be involved with directly at all. We might end up having a consultative approach, but other levels of government will have to work on implementing them. But I think what's coming out of the conversation is that for a bit of visibility, anytime an initiative takes place in the City of Mount Pearl, maybe it needs to be branded under the Community Safety and Wellbeing. Maybe we need to brand it as well, so people will know. To your point, Councillor Locke. And yeah, a lot of good work being done. I can see there's a decade worth of work building up here because it's never going to be ending. It's going to be part of the culture. If it's part of the culture, it's going to be continuous. And we're all responsible for our safety. I believe Councillor Lane had mentioned that, right? We all have a role to play in our own protection. All right. Thank you, everybody, for a very well explained initiative, a great discussion. I think the next item is engineering. Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Worship. We're going to move along now and try to spend some of the corporate services money. So we have, well, this is a very important part, I guess, time and part of the engineering month because we're leading into construction season. And So I just want to give an update on, first of all, on the capital works update. Excuse me. This one is for information, for the attention and consideration of council and the public. We have our Farrell Drive Pump House upgrades. Construction is ongoing on that project, 30% complete. 2025 concrete works, construction 90% complete on that one. Work to resume in the spring of 2026. Under White Boulevard upgrades, construction is 60% complete there, and work will resume in the spring of 2026. Under our sewage lift station, Mount Carson Avenue, construction is ongoing, 90% complete on that project. Jackman Drive upgrades, construction to begin in the spring of 2026. Our water tower access road, construction to resume the first quarter of 2026, weather permitting. Under our water storage tank design build, this is a new one that the construction started on this one on March the 9th, 2026, and it's 5% complete. Glad to see that one started. Under our Glencoe culvert replacement, construction is 95% complete on that one, and final tidy up will be in the spring of 2026. Our T Railway Crossing, Commonwealth Avenue, construction is 50% complete on that project. Completion expected in the spring of 2026, leading into the summer. 2026 asphalt crack sealing tender is awarded and pending. And the 2026 to 2028 street marking tender is awarded, and that one is pending also as well. Moving on to our next one. Our contract extension for our pest control services. Just a little bit of background on this one first before we lead into the recommendation. So the current contract, so we have a contract extension for our pest control services. That's TP 22-22-005. The current contract ends on April the 30th, 2026, and as per the agreement with the city reserves the right to extend the contract by increments of 1 year for a period of up to no more than 2 years, upon the same terms and conditions, provided both parties agree. Rentokil Canada Corporation provides satisfactory level of service and is responsive to any issues, concerns, or additional requests that the city may have. Their performance and responsiveness warrant a contract extension for the second additional year if needed. So staff recommendation that the contract for pest control services TP-22-005 with Rentokil Canada Corporation be extended for 1 year for the period of May the 1st, 2026 to April the 30th, 2027 for the bid amount of $13,133, HST included, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Rice, second by Councillor Antle. Council, I'm going to be a pest right now and call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Worship. Our next one, just a little bit of background, this one as well. We're going to transfer, this is a recommendation for transfer of funds from a 2023 to the 2026 multi-year capital works funding program. So the city is currently in receipt of funding under the multi-year capital works program, 2023 to 2026 program. The engineering service is requesting reallocation of unused funds in the amount of $2,405,060 from the 2023-2026 multi-year capital works program allocated for Holden Street upgrades, and the number on this one, the project number, tender number is 17-MYCW-24-00047. These funds are proposed to be redirected into the 2023-2026 multi-year project, which is 17-MYCW-24-00048 to the new community center. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Rice, second by Councillor Antle. A bit of housekeeping here as we move some of our cost-shared money around.
One other item to add on that one. So on the recommendation, the allocated capital work project from these for those funds originally will be formally closed. So that other project will close out. So that's the recommendation on that one, the transfer of funds.
Any questions, Council? I think we were briefed on this at committee the whole last. Yeah. Okay. I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Carried.
That's it for our report, Your Worship. Thank you.
We're getting there. Thank you. We're going to go to planning and development. Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. Busy in engineering. I expect a busy construction season this year as well. We have two items here, Mayor, for the planning and development. The first has to do with the Stapleton Road rezoning and amendments to our municipal plan as well as our development regulations. And as we know, Mayor, this has been ongoing for quite a bit of time here now. Just looking down through the kit here, you know, the notice of motion resolution first started in September of 2024, and we followed due process. This is a process that doesn't come quickly. So we made sure that we followed our due processes. And just a reminder, this has to do with the redesignation of lands located at number 173 and 175A Park Avenue. And the amendments are to change this from open space to residential designation under our plan, and as well from our open space to residential medium density, and to change it to residential high density for this area. And as I said, this has been ongoing for quite a period of time here. And it's a furtherance. This rezoning is a part of council's plan and strategy, or objectives under the Federal Housing Accelerator Fund to grow our housing supply here in the city. We all know full well the demands on housing. The real estate forum last week that Mayor and Councillor Rice and I attended spoke about, you know, the need for residential housing and other spaces here, not only in the city of Mount Pearl, but certainly throughout the region. So this is a part of the Housing Accelerator Fund program to grow our housing supply by removing barriers and supporting the development of an affordable, inclusive, equitable, and climate resilient community. So as I said, this started back in September of 2024, and we've had a number of touch points throughout. We gave notification of a briefing session, and we held a briefing session on November the 18th of 2024. Then it was sent to Department of Municipal and Community Affairs for review. That was released from review by the province on January the 23rd of 2026. Then we appointed a public hearing commissioner, Ernest Boone. We had that hearing on February the 28th, and then the public commissioner's report was received by the city on March the 13th of 2026. And as we read down through the commissioner's report here, the recommendation was that given that there was no legal objections noted by the commissioner, nor raised at the hearing, and after due consideration of all the presentations, both oral and written, raised and addressed at the public hearing held on the 26th of February, it was recommended that the city of Mount Pearl proceed with the recommended action. So the department is recommending that the municipal plan amendment number 29, 2024, and the development regulations amendment number 77 of 2024 be approved, and that the amended documentation be submitted to the Department of Municipal and Community Affairs for provincial registration, and I so move.
Thank you. It is moved by Councillor Locke, seconded. I see the hand up. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Second by Deputy Mayor Kiley. Any comments, Council? The reality is the old pool is now gone, and we need to come up with a different use or a new use for that particular property. I'm going to call a question if I don't see any other hands up. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded? That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The second item for planning and development has to do with the proposed hazardous industry use at 27 Sagona Avenue. And this, of course, is discretionary, so it's before council here. So it requires a council decision, but essentially what's being asked here is an application came from Acre Solutions Asset Integrity Management Canada, Inc. for a proposed use to accommodate a combined office light industry warehouse use for non-destructive testing within a portion of the existing building, again at 27 Sagona Avenue. So essentially, what Acre does is completes well tests of pipes that are used in the offshore for subsea and that. And of course, this uses X-ray technology. So we're recommending that that we proceed with this, that council approve the request for this hazardous use, again at 27 Sigourney Avenue, and that a development permit be issued pending the development meeting all required or applicable requirements, and I so move.
Again, it is moved by Councillor Locke and seconded by Deputy Mayor Kiley. Thanks. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, I'm going to call that question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Carried.
And that's it for me, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, we're going to turn to new business, and I'm going to start off with the next person in the rotation, which is Councillor Lane.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I actually have nothing for the roundtable this evening. Just wanted to tell everybody to have a happy Easter.
Councillor Fry.
Just one thing for me, well, kind of two, but combined. The Focus on Youth Awards are coming up, as well as the Best of Mount Pearl Awards. And I really encourage residents to nominate somebody. You know, these awards are there for a reason. And while people do things in the community not for recognition, it's so meaningful when they do, and especially the youth. I mean, Eamon was here tonight. I mean, he's extraordinary. We have a lot of extraordinary youth here, and let's celebrate them. So if you know somebody deserving of these awards, please, please nominate them. That's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief. I mentioned earlier that we attended the BOMA NL's annual real estate forum. That was on the 26th of March. My first time attending, but I got to say it was extremely insightful, and you always come away with some nuggets. But I want to tip my hat to our city staff that were in attendance and the great work that we're doing here. Mount Pearl was celebrated and mentioned numerous times during this forum about the successes here, so much so that the City of St. John's wanted to take Councillor Antle, Councillor Rice, and Councillor Locke under their fold. So they introduced us as members of the St. John's City Council, but we declined, but offered to help in any way that we could. But I do want to highlight Jeremy Schwartz. He was on a panel, discussion panel down there, and he did such a great job on representing the city and just sharing with everyone all the great initiatives that our economic development and housing committees or staff are doing here in the city. So I just wanted to send kudos out, not just to Jeremy, but our entire staff for the great work that we do and the recognition that we received down at this forum. And 77 years ago today, Canada joined Newfoundland and Labrador. So happy 77th birthday to our province. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Kiley.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to be very short as well. And this is, in fact, just another note to add to the good words of my colleague Isabel Fry. And it's one of the new awards for our youth this year. And I just wanted to focus on it because it demonstrates the work we are doing around violence prevention and tolerance and acceptance. And it's the Reconciliation Action Award. And it recognizes a young person who has taken meaningful steps towards truth and reconciliation in the community through relationship building, cultural learning, advocacy, and/or action. So whether you're Indigenous or non-Indigenous, it's a young person who shows what it looks like to walk alongside one another with respect and purpose. So it's just something for you to consider. And again, it just demonstrates the work we're doing within the city around cultural and social shifting of our minds and hearts. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Over to Councillor Antle.
I'll try to be brief, but I don't think I will be. Yeah, I'll give you a warning now, so it could take a few minutes. I'll stay in Mount Pearl, yes. I've been on the Eastern Regional Service Board now for 5 years. I'm the city's representative. And in September last year, I received an email that they wanted to restructure our Regional Service Board. An email wasn't very professional. I didn't like that very much. You know, you get an email that you're going to restructure a regional service board. So we had an emergency meeting on that. So just a quick note. The inaugural, I got a note here. This is the inaugural meeting of the Regional Service Board. When it was set up was November 9th, 2011. So it was 16 years ago. It has changed a lot in those 16 years, but the province, and it was the bullet points where the province had determined that a regional waste management would be established using a regional service board created under the Regional Service Board Act. And two, the mandate from the government to the committee included the provision that the Eastern Regional Service Board would have 50% representation from the City of St. John's and 50% representation from outside St. John's. They also said the committee determined that the region could be best presented by divided into 7 groups, be 1 representative from Conception Bay, 1 representative from Paradise, and 1 from Mount Pearl. The 50-50 principle, this is going back to the mandate when it started, necessitated equal representation from the City of St. John's for a board total of 20 members. So that meant that St. John's would have 10 seats and the remainder would have 10 seats, just for clarification. And the government approved these, and this is what was talked about. So in September, this is a briefing note, and this was brought up on March the 25th. This is at a public meeting of the Eastern Regional Service Board. And the motion came out, and it said, and the motion was passed. Be it resolved that the board changes membership so that it consists of 12 directors plus an independent appointed chairperson. Effective upon ministerial approval, 6 directors will be appointed by the City of St. John's for Ward 1, and 6 directors will be elected from updated wards 2 to 7. I won't go through all this. I sent this to our city clerk and our CAO because I hope we were going to talk about this. The scenario that was adopted and is adopted and will be going through is scenario number 2, and it says that here, Mount Pearl, CBS, and Paradise will be included in the current metro area, but we'll have an ex officio status. And what an ex officio status means is that we can sit on the board, we don't vote, and we don't talk. So and that was voted on. So the City of St. John's will have 6 seats, and the remainder will have 6. Mount Pearl, Paradise, and CBS will not have any status. With 3 of us, Mount Pearl, CBS, and Paradise, voted against this. And we talked about it for many, many reasons. And what my fellow councillors from Paradise and CBS talked about, they can talk about in their own council. But we talked about this at great length, and this is my notes that I presented. My first question was, how can an Eastern Regional Service Board be called regional when 3 of the largest municipalities that are included in that structure aren't included? Mount Pearl, Paradise, and CBS represent about 80,000 residents. It's 80,000 residents that don't have a vote. The Eastern Regional Service Board takes care of waste, it takes care of fire services, which we take care of ourselves. It takes care of all. I understand how rural feels a little out because it does manage your water, and like we have our staff take care of this kind of stuff. But when I sit on the board and represent the City of Mount Pearl, I give them some guidance from our city staff. If they have some things they question, like how does a tender work? How does this work? Well, I can say, well, let me go back and I'll ask our CAO or I'll ask one of our directors and they'll help. But one of the key things that I was on that board for, and I think I represented the city of Mount Pearl quite well, is Robin Hood Bay is called a regional waste facility. And it's called a regional waste facility for a reason, because we bring our waste there. The City of Mount Pearl last year paid $633,000 to the City of St. John's for use of the regional waste facility. The City of St. John's owns and operates the regional facility. Despite that major financial contribution that we pay to that, we will have no say around the board when the budget comes up. We will have no say. All right? Just reading my notes here. So when I looked at this here again, there was 4 standing committees on the Regional Service Board. Right now, the 4 standing committees will come by. The 4 standing committees, 3 of them are chaired by the City of St. John's. 1 is chaired by Cupid's. Right? The current structure right now includes 20 directors with one municipality holding 50% of the seats. Under this new structure now will reduce to 12 seats, yet the same municipality will control 6 seats, 50%, and the remaining 6 seats will go to rural. So how does this change? It's still 50-50. The only thing that really changed is Mount Pearl, CBS, and Paradise have now been excluded from the Eastern Regional Service Board. I think that we have to stress that when we look at this, it's called regional for a reason. So when you take 3 municipalities out of this, it can't be called regional anymore. We're a customer of Robin Hood Bay, and I think that's what we will continue to be. In 5 years while I've been on that board, not once has any decision been made regarding geography. It's never a rural urban. We talked about tenders, we talked about bringing stuff to Regional Bay and this kind of stuff. I don't know how this ever came an urban rural divide, right? One of the board's in the mandates is to modernize the regional waste facility. How can we participate in a mandate from the Eastern Regional Service Board? We're not sitting there. We can go there, but we're not allowed to talk. I said, I can sit there. Oh, well, why do I want to go there? Because I can watch it live. And I still can't talk. I had a recommendation. I passed it on, but it didn't go anywhere. If we're going to reorganize the board, I think right now it's premature and short-sighted. You know, as the board continues to grow and expands its responsibility, I think we need to include all municipalities and ask them what they want out of this board. You know, if the Robin Hood Bay is going to be is owned and operated by St. John's, let's remove it from the Eastern Regional Service Board. We'll all have 1 seat. So it's equal, fair representation. That's everything I have to say. I hope that we can include this in our minutes so we can send a letter to the minister. Because if it's called, the point is, if it's going to be called a regional board and the government's trying to encourage us to be more regional, act regional and do things regionally, but when one municipality says, well, no, you can't be included, there's something wrong with that process. Thank you.
Yeah, no, very well said. I'd just like to add a comment that the city of Mount Pearl has always been willing to work with all of the municipalities in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. That doesn't mean we're always going to participate. That doesn't mean we're always going to partner. But I think, you know, our vested interest here is the well-being, not just of Mount Pearl, but our province and our region. And I think we stand together very well with our colleagues in Paradise as well as CBS. The point of the board, at this point in the board, if they have an issue with regards to representation, they shouldn't try to be diluting it. They should be trying to enhance it and to increase it. And I think by removing 3 seats from the board, in effect, which have a population total, I think, pretty close to almost 100,000 people, maybe 80. Yeah, I think closer to 80. It doesn't seem quite right to me. And we've written the minister because we are concerned, as were other municipalities. And so the board's motion is not binding on the minister. The minister has discretion. And but, you know, as good regional partners, constituents, we've carbon copied the other mayors in the region as well as the MHA. So hopefully Minister Tibbs will reach out and we can consult a bit more and see if we can enhance representation to ensure that the governance structure is responsible and representative, and that the rural areas get the representation I think that they need a little bit more of, because this is not directly, the services of the board is not the dump. It has to do with a lot of other services like fire protection, water safety. There's a list that's given in the mandate, right? So on behalf of council, we've sent that letter to Minister Tibbs. And frankly, given the seriousness of the issue, I open the floor to anybody else who wants to comment. Thank you, Councillor Antle. Councillor Rice.
Good job, Councillor Antle, and you represented us well on the board as a councillor and as for the city. You know, since my time on council, this is my 2nd term now, so I just want to make a comment. You know, from meetings that I've went to, from regional water to regional wastewater, and now I'm fire. You know, there's always that tension there in the room, and I find, you know, you're asking questions around, and I agree. If we're going to be a regional board and a regional entity in all aspects and all departments, you know, how can they take us off and not have a vote and call it a region? I agree 100%. What really bothers me about it as a councillor, and I'm here representing the city of Mount Pearl, is that, you know, we're talking about a regional wastewater. You know, we got to move forward now with a regional facility on the south side now of St. John's, and you know they're looking for our money up front to contribute to that facility. And when I look at it, you know, where are we a partner or are we a customer? You know, we're a partner when they want us to be a partner, but now I look at that as being a customer. So why are we putting a share up front for our wastewater? Because it all goes together. All of our regional services are all connected. You know, and so, you know, this requires further discussion through the provincial government and Minister Tibbs and the Premier if it needs to get involved, because, you know, right now we don't have any MOUs signed, no documents saying, you know, what the service is about or any detailed information on those MOUs. I do believe, I spoke to our legal side there before the meeting started. I think we do have a regional fire, but all the other regional services, all the other regional services, we don't have any MOU. So the first part of any documentation regarding having a regional board or regional service, you have a memorandum of understanding signed, and every partner signs that MOU. So we need to get back to who's getting treated fair and who's not. And right now, the city of Mount Pearl and the town of CBS and town of Paradise are not getting treated fairly. So back to the drawing board, in my opinion, and let's work it out. And but you know, we're not going to back down because we're going to represent our best interests here in the city of Mount Pearl. So that's my input into it anyway. Thank you.
No, thank you, sir. Deputy Mayor Kiley, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I thank you for my colleagues who've already spoken to this and for the work that's done at putting out around this. Just wanted to highlight the importance of good governance around something that's so important, of what these services represent and what's around that. And I mean, when you look at governance, transparency, independence, accountability, these are most important things. But there's one thing that specifically shines out that needs to be important. It's fairness. And it means that all decisions be taken and the processes used are implemented and are not allowed to create unfair advantages to any other particular party. Only way to do that is if there's equitable responsibility, equitable representation for all members. And I don't think what has been outlined right now has anything outside of fairness and equitable representation. Not looking for more than anyone else, but that everyone has representation and the same amount of responsibility and voice at that table. That's fair and good governance. At the end of the day, it's going to make for better services and better decisions for this region, not just for one municipality or town or city, but for the entire region. And that is what the focus needs to be here. Thank you, Your Worship.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to Councillor Locke now.
Thank you, Mayor. I won't repeat what my colleagues have already said. But I would be interested to see with the regional waste board, I would like to see an outline of the rationale that was given. It's my understanding that the meeting was a privileged meeting and that the discussions around that. But I would hope that, you know, as a sitting member of that board right now, represented by our colleague, Councillor Antle, I would like to see a rationale presented to this committee. I'd like to see the reasoning for this. And if it's a sound rationale, fine. If it's not, well, that's open for other discussion as well, right? But, you know, Councillor Rice also mentioned, you know, the numerous regional boards and committees that we're a part of. And I'm all for cooperation and sharing of knowledge and bringing our expertise that we have at the city to the table, learning from others' expertise that we may not have in-house. But you have to have an equitable voice around the table. And without the MOUs, I think that's the next step, to say, okay, let's have a look at this, because over time, I think these boards sort of grew, we've matured as a city and as a region. So the previous structures that were put in place, to your point, 17 years ago, they may need to be revisited. But I don't support removing 3 voices from this table of the most populous communities, 3 of this, the populated communities that we have here. I can't see how that's a benefit to the board. So again, my plea is, can we see the rationale for this decision? I want to know how they arrived at this. There's talks that maybe they're trying to restructure this board, the Eastern Regional Board, to mirror the size and structure of other boards. But that may not be sound, given our population on the Avalon Peninsula. We may need a different structure. We may need a different board size. So again, I call for I want to see the rationale. That's my request. So I don't know if Councillor Antolcold can bring that back, or if he probably already requested that, but I wait to see what the response is. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, Councillor Antle, can you really have consultation in just a privileged manner?
Interesting note. On March 25th, when we voted for this, we only voted for the ratification of the vote that was taken in private. So the private meeting, when people spoke, I asked for the minutes, but there was no minutes taken. So I can give you their comments, but I wouldn't do that because I wouldn't get it verbatim, because you don't want to get this. So people spoke to it, all right, but it was in a private meeting, so that wasn't going. So when we talked about it when we ratified the meeting, and you can see it in public, there's only 3 councillors that spoke against that. I spoke against the ratification because I couldn't speak against the motion, but I still spoke. Sounds confusing, yes. I spoke exactly what I said here tonight, why I voted against that. But I asked, would those minutes be included into that? But no, because I was only voting to ratify the motion that was taken in private. So I think that people, when I vote in public, you know how I voted. And I think that, when you vote for such a motion, you should stand up and state why. There's background in here, the reasons that you asked, and one of the questions were, and that's for public too, is that it says one of the things, the uniform approach across the regions may help support future legislation. Like, what does that mean? That's why we need to go to the minister. Thank you.
Well, we've gone to the minister, and hopefully that bears some fruit, but I still can't understand how you can have a privileged meeting for something that's not part of your mandate. And then I don't understand, if it's not part of your mandate and you had a discussion, that is not made public. It sounds like the old boys club, doesn't it? Anybody else? All right, round table. That was a long one. But we have one final person for the round table, one Councillor Rice, please.
My 2 items are still important, Bill, so. No, a couple of things for me. Won't be too long. I dropped in this afternoon to say congratulations on behalf of council, the mayor and council, we had 2 of our public works staff retired today, Mark Stevens and Boyd Porter. So congratulations to the 2 of the guys. It was a big crowd. The place was black there. It's nice to see. So I guess they'll go on to the next phase of their chapter of their life. But big congratulations, Corey. So certainly pass that along. You will, I'm sure. And the second one I want to say is, so back in December, the Mount Pearl Men's Rec Hockey League committee got together, and I was on that committee. I requested to go on because I had been there a long time, so I wanted to help out with the celebrations. And we had 10 meetings leading up to Saturday night past. And I just want to say that the staff at the Reed Center, I'm not going to name any names because they were absolutely phenomenal. We designated one person to meet with them, which was Tim Ford. So Tim went there on a regular basis, meeting with staff. It was a manager, or mostly managers, I think Jen Jones and Jennifer Duggan. and some of the staff. But I got to say, the amount of work that they done and the response that we had and the support they gave us was superb. I got to say, they were phenomenal. Actually, they were so good. They, you know, because we rented we had the stage and the drapes and the piping and stuff like that. And they were so obliging, and they couldn't have done a better job than what they done. So Blair, can you pass that along to the staff there? They were absolutely phenomenal. And even on the night of the when we were cleaning up and stuff like that, they were out taking everything down, putting everything away, and we offered to help, but they said no. But we tried to help them out, clean up stuff like that. But they were absolutely great, I got to say. So I just want to pass that along if you can. Thank you. That's it for me.
Boys, I hope we never have another snowstorm on a council meeting night again. My geez, we're here for the longest kind of time. Got a lot of business, a lot of discussion, community safety, Eastern Services Board, presentations from the Legion. I'm telling you. And engineering, of course. Yeah. Anyway, it's going to be a busy summer, and we're already gearing up. Good luck tomorrow, Mr. Harvey, with you and the crews in cleaning up the city. I hope we don't get slammed, and I think we have got more than enough salt, equipment, and labor to handle it like we usually do in our own professional manner. So with that, I'm going to close the meeting. And on motion, I believe, of Councillor Antle and seconded by Councillor Lane, we are adjourned.